Hold on. We just start recording. Okay, we just started the recording. So, all right. This is the first webinar of the Coming to Delft series by ISA. And through this series, we will be guiding you guys on everything, right? From getting your admit letter to coming here to Delft and starting your studies. All right. So today's main speakers are our alumni advisors, Siddharth and Fatah. So they are way experienced than the rest of the board. So you can definitely take their advice. And I'll be moderating the webinar today. And yeah, let's get started. Okay. Yeah, so about us. Yeah, so what is the ISA? So basically, we are an organization for all Indian students in TUD. Basically, we strive to create a home away from home for each and every one of you, so that you also don't miss home and you get to celebrate all festivities that you would do at home in the same way over here. And other than that, we also host a ton of professional events so that it can help in your development during your time here. And apart from that, we are also the point of contact with the Indian Embassy in The Hague. So for all your, for example, your passport, your visa, your immigration problems, we will be the point of contact for you. So you can just reach out to us for the same. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, so this is our amazing board for this year. And yeah, so you guys can see it for yourselves, basically. So starting from Rishika. So Rishika is our treasurer, and she is from the Department of Chemical Engineering. And then we have Jabez. Jabez is our external affairs manager, and he is from MOT, Management of Technology. Then going to Avanti. Avanti is our marketing manager. So she is the one behind all of the posts and all of the colorful media, and even this poster, basically. So she does the design for interaction in IDE. And then we have the two main people behind all of our amazing events, Harshita and Arya. So they are event managers, and both of them are from the same faculty of civil engineering and from the same course, basically, construction management engineering. Yeah. And then we have our alumni advisors, of course, Siddharth and Fatah. And then our smallest, our kid, our most fun guy, Ishan. So Ishan is our digital contents manager. And then Manvi is our programs manager. So she is the one behind, conducting all meetings and the agendas and everything in ISA. Okay. And of course, me, not big of a role, but still, yeah. Let's go on to the agenda of today. So on the onset, let me congratulate all of you guys for making it to TUD. So TUD is an amazing university, to be honest, and it's getting to TUD is the hardest part, and then making it through TUD is hard. But yeah, you guys have taken the first big step, so congrats on that. And in today's meeting, we'll be going through several things. So basically, to make things clear, in today's meeting, we will be having a general webinar, basically. So it won't be going into very specific detailed aspects. So it will just be a webinar for you guys to get started with, for example, right from your acceptance letter, your financial letter, all payment deadlines, and about the housing and everything. So all topics relevant to now will be discussed. And of course, ISA will be holding a couple of more webinars in the coming months where we'll be discussing each and everything. So don't worry about that. We will be there to guide you along the way. Okay. So, so today, from the acceptance letter to the financial letter, payment deadlines, housing, and also we'll be also talking about the general course structure in TU Delft, about the credits that you can earn, and also you guys also will be doing an internship or a JIP in your second year, and we'll be talking about that. And also the part-time opportunities for students, and all of this from 1 to 7 will be for 45 minutes, and the remaining 45 minutes will be reserved for your questions, which you have put in the Google Doc, and we have selected some questions for today, and we'll try to answer them all. And if some time is left, we will also be answering questions from the chat. All right. Okay, accepted. Now what? So yeah, that's a great question. And so basically you need to, give your confirmation statement if you're sure that, TUT is the university that you want to do your master's in. So the deadline for giving the confirmation statement and accepting your admit at TU Delft is the 1st of June. So be aware. And the financial letter. So basically, your enrollment process at TU Delft starts only after the full payment of your fees, and not just payment from your side, but also confirmation from TU Delft side. So you should need to take that into account. And the fee payment deadline is the 1st of July 2024. But from ISA's part, we would recommend that you at least try to complete your fee payment by the second week of May, because your fee payment here in TU Delft is related to a lot of other aspects. It's not just about paying your fees to TU Delft, but it's also linked to your visa process, and because you're also paying for your first year of living expenses, and that is basically how the IND, they get to know about whether you can afford your stay in the Netherlands for a period of 2 years or not. Because also coming here and getting a part-time job, it won't necessarily cover all of your living expenses for the course of your study. So you need to have that the finances beforehand, and basically by paying that amount to TU Delft, you're proving that you have the finances beforehand. And of course, you will be definitely getting that amount refunded when you come over here, and then you register yourself in the Dutch municipality, and then you get a social security number, and finally you open a Dutch bank account, you get everything refunded back. All right. So that's about the fee payment, and we'll be going to the specifics later. And the funding can definitely be from your personal finances or through an educational loan. Okay. And the withdrawal date is the 31st of August. All right. So on. So housing. So I hand over to Sid. So Sid will be talking about the student accommodation at TU.
You can just mute yourself and keep the sharing screen on. Can you guys hear me clearly? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Fatah, where is it coming from? Just 1 second, guys. Where is the sound coming from? 1 second. Look at this. Connect the earphones again. Keep the earphones on. Hey guys, sorry, we are back. Second, you need to share your screen again. Okay, so hey guys, this is Siddharth here. I am one of the alumni advisors. I have almost a shortly thing about me. I've graduated around 3.5 years ago from Masters in Architecture, and ever since I've been working. So that's a little bit about me. Fatah, you just want to introduce yourself as well?
So hi everyone, and I'm Fatah, and I graduated last August in 2023. So I came to Netherlands in 2021, and right now I'm doing my PhD in mechanical engineering in the Department of Process and Energy. So so yeah, that's a little bit about me, but we'll of course talk more.
So yes, about housing. Uh, so the whole idea is we're going to talk about two types of housings for now. One is student accommodation, which is provided by Duo. Duo is the student housing agency, which is mainly for Delft. And then Fatah is going to touch upon topics that, okay, if suppose you're not able to get through Duo, what are the other options and what all things you should be aware of? Uh, so I'll just start with Duo. So the whole idea is if you want a housing in Duo, because the thing is every year there is a surplus amount of internationals and uh, already existing Dutch students plus EU students, everybody comes to Netherlands, and there is an influx every year. There is like at least like 400 to 500, even just Indians come. So imagine there's just so many people coming in. So housing is a major crisis over here. So what the whole idea Duo does is that, okay, if suppose you've paid your fees first, then you get access to the portal first. So that's the whole idea of Duo, that it's first come first serve basis. And the idea is that, okay, if you want the Duo housing, it's rather better to take a Duo housing sometimes because it has like less hassle. There is less chances of any scams happening with you. It's a direct portal by TU Delft. So make sure that if you pay your fees as soon as possible, so that you can get access to the portal as fast as possible. And then housings usually like they just go away within like a day or two. You'll get an access to a portal. You can choose which apartments you want. There is also a series of housing which, if you go to ISA's Delft page, you can see a few of the housings which are a bit listed, so at least you know which, like there are 4 or 5 houses which we have covered. So you can at least see those before getting a little bit of feeling, okay, how this house is going to look like. But it's mainly like try to apply it for as fast as possible because it goes out very quickly. So, and if suppose for some reason you're not able to get into Duo because maybe you have paid your fees later or all the housing options are gone, then you can touch upon the private market, and maybe Fatah can explain that a little bit more in depth about it.
So I was one of those unfortunate students who could not pay the fee on time, and then I paid it like just before the deadline, I guess, July 1st. So, so my options of Duo were gone. Then, what do you actually do if you see yourself in this situation? I feel like because in private housing, it's so different for everyone. Everyone can give you a very different path of how they got a house in Netherlands. So I think I'll just talk about what exactly I did. So the first step for me was I joined a lot of these Facebook groups, which is, let's say, the first step that many also my seniors had suggested. And mostly in these Facebook groups, you would see a lot of advertisements from current tenants who want to find a replacement for their room. So that in itself is like based on location. So there's like a Facebook group for Delft as well as for Hague and Rotterdam. I think once I started seeing how bad it is in the Delft group, that's when I decided that, okay, the first thing that I needed to do was expand my radius. I cannot just be uh, let's say, stubborn that I want a house in Delft or there's no other option. So I think that's the first advice right there. So you should be a bit, let's say, accepting of expanding a radius and then maybe finding a house in Hague or in Rotterdam. It's not the end of the world. So then once I started like responding to a few messages and then like messaging a few of these advertisements. And after all of that, I also joined some of these WhatsApp groups that was purely made by the students who are coming in. Most of them were Indian students. So then that is where we started to like form groups and find houses together, apply for some houses together. So where can you find, let's say, these houses? Let's say the platforms are mentioned right here on the slide. CarMainNet, from my experience, I felt that many houses where, let's say, they were accepting Dutch or European students, not so much international students. So that is something to be aware of because CarMainNet has a subscription fee. So, and Housing Anywhere is a website where, again, ads for agencies put ads. So then you can start contacting these agencies and get on email, WhatsApp, and whatnot. Room.nl is just a general website where Duo also hosts a lot of its houses. I personally felt that, or at least I have heard accounts that you need a really long sign-in period. Like you have to have an account creation that is like many years in order to come up in terms of priority. So that's something to be aware of. Pararius, Funda are again, let's say these private websites where you have advertisements can mostly put up by agencies. So I feel like after going through the Facebook group step, the next step is to start contacting agencies and contact very aggressively. It's like I feel as difficult, or if not more, in terms of like preparing your SOP and applying for universities. That's like the unfortunate truth. So once after I've went through all of these, let's say contacting phase, I found a house in Hague because we formed a group in one of the WhatsApp groups I was a part of. And then we applied to a house which was in Hague, which required 7 people. So uh, then it's important for students, if you're especially going through these external agencies, they ask for a guarantor. That's one of the most important things. So I would say that if you think you are not going to make it on time for fee payment, so I think you should also think about like having a guarantor statement made, which is basically just an income payslip for 3 months, the latest last 3 months, or it can also be the income tax filing for the financial year, the previous financial year. So things like that, I feel, are very elaborately mentioned in the subreddit for Netherlands housing. So that is my suggestion. You can just Google Netherlands housing Reddit and you will find that. And I feel they have a really nice guide to understand that, okay, how exactly do you go about? And I think one final note is about being careful in terms of scammers. Mainly, I've seen that they go through Facebook. So all these Facebook groups that, let's say, some advertisements are posted by scammers. So you have to be very careful. Do not send a penny before you get the viewing, before you confirm that, okay, this person is legit and the house is legit. There are, again, these tips and tricks in the subreddit and in I am expat. There are some websites which go much more in depth about, okay, what innovative ways scammers are trying to scam these days. So I would say, please be updated, keep on checking and read more about it online. And there are various good sources about it. So I think we can move on. I'm done.
Can I actually also touch upon that scam part?
Yeah.
Just one sec. Yeah. So one actually a very quick tip I would give it, like usually try not to, we all know that when we are trying to move here, we are always desperate because housing is a problem, right? We have to be, it's like fastest finger first. One quick tip would be whenever they would put photos, right? The one good thing what I do is I just look at the photos and I'm like, okay, how many windows I can really see over here? Okay, and then I would just take the address is always mentioned and I would go on the address and do a pinpoint and just try to look from outside, does the windows really match or not? Because what they do is they would take generic high quality photos of these houses which would look really posh. Sometimes they even look like just too good to be true as well. So that's one trick which you can try as well. So because that's like a very quick scan that, okay, just by the looking at the windows of it, they need to match. If they don't match, that's a for sure scam. And most typical one of them is like, oh, currently I'm not in Netherlands. I'm traveling somewhere in UK. You can just like pay me right now, and then I can pay you back. So they will try to be all very persuasive in terms of all of this, trying to manipulate you in terms of like emotionally. So try to stick away from all of those. These are like standard patterns, which is like easy to get scammed. So these are like few tips and tricks which you can do. And basically, if you're going for the private market, try sources like the most fast you can apply, the quicker you can like really get through it. So we can move on from that topic then.
Just one last thing again, I'm sorry. And all of these houses, make sure that you are allowed to register. That's very important. That's again another, let's say, scam that people are trying to do, where to do not pay the taxes to the Dutch government. They say that, oh, we offer the house, but we don't allow you to register. As you know, it's mandatory for all international students with the residence permit to be registered at an address. It's mandatory. There's no way to go about it. So I think that should be something that you should be aware of.
Yeah, so basically, the point what Fatah and Sid were making is to basically be aware of the scam. If you're not able to get a house through Duo, and one way you can avoid that hassle is to basically pay your fees ASAP. Okay, I mean, don't if you have access to all the funds, don't just delay it, because I think it was yesterday I saw a couple of messages in the group as to people are thinking about how to go about the taxes and everything and stuff. So one advice from IS's part would be to not think about that right now. So, for example, if you have got your bank loan approved, and or if you have access to personal finances, or your relatives have offered to help, do it ASAP, because if you split your payment into multiple installments, and then the thing is, it might take some time for TU to confirm your fee payment. And it's only after they confirm your fee payment that they place you on the priority list for housing. And then you might definitely lose out on the closest and best locations of Duo close to campus. There are, however, locations of Duo which are a bit away from campus, but then that'll, increase your commuting time and everything else. So if you want to get that best housing close to campus and really focus on your studies rather than, go through the hassle of traveling to and back, then I would say pay your fees ASAP. Okay. Right. So moving on. Course structure, Fatah. Yep.
So I feel, again, different masters, very different structure, and very different courses of how, in let's say, compulsory and optional courses and how they're spread out. So you can search in the study guide for TU Delft. Again, Google is your friend. In the study guide, you can go to your exact master track, and then find out how many compulsory courses and how it's spread out. So mostly in the 2 years that you have, TU Delft has a quarter system. I hope many of you are aware of that. So in the quarter system, in each quarter, you have a set of compulsory and a set of optional courses based on how your track is laid out. So I think you can go to the study guide and get more detail about that. TU Delft offers a lot of flexibility. I think when compared to many Indian universities where you have like a very fixed, let's say a bachelor course where you're just told what sort of fundamental courses you have to take. But here you have a lot more options apart from the compulsory courses. So you can really design your masters in the way you desire. And yeah, underlined point number 3, failing is okay. It's actually so common over here that it's a joke that, oh, there's a reset happening. So I think uh, one of the main reasons why it's normalized is that because of this flexibility, because every student, or let's say every master track, is very different for each person. So there's a lot of variation in study load. So for example, for me in Q2, I did my master's in mechanical engineering, and I failed one course because I thought there was this very interesting elective I must take. So that's the reason I could not focus on the one of my compulsory courses, and I failed. And I had to write the resit, and I passed the resit the next time I have to write. So it's like the resits are the second attempt you get to write the exam after the quarter where the course is completed. And again, you will be learning more about it once you start your master's. You need a 6 out of 10 to pass, and 5.8 if I'm being very pedantic. And 8, I mean, you set your personal goals, right? According to what we have seen in the past years, 8 plus is anything above 7 to 8 is like considered okay, it's average. But if you want to aim for cum laude, so, and if you want to be eligible for the honors program, you should have a grade of 8 plus in all your courses, and you need to get a grade above 9 in your master thesis in the last year. So, in again, this grades is, I feel, a very important factor in a lot of PhD or research related roles. That's something I realized while giving my interviews for PhD, that they really focused on what sort of grades I got in particular subjects. So I think that's something you have to be careful about. If you really want to do research, then you should be like showing that you have a very good hold on that subjects. But in industries, the general consensus is that they don't look at your grade very specifically, but overall it has to be like an average amount of grade, so that yeah, you are at least showing that okay, you have passed your courses and you've gone a little bit beyond. So so yeah, I think more details are something that you will, of course, learn once you start your master's. Every master track has its own introduction week and everything. So this is something I wouldn't be really worried about. You will get a lot more details going ahead. Yeah, you can move on. Yeah, so the next step, usually in the second year of many master tracks, is when you have the opportunity to do an internship or something that U Delft offers, which is called a joint interdisciplinary program. So again, depending on the department, it might or might not be graded. So that's something you have to talk to your track coordinator of your master track. And when you do it in a company, the internship usually is for 1 quarter, 2.5 to 3 months. So that's like 15 ECTS. And companies pay around 400 to 500, might be a little bit more because wages have slightly increased. But yeah, it's not a salary, it's a stipend. It's a very small amount. And so the duration can be 3 to 6 months. Usually it's like 3 months that they try to aim, but some companies do not like that. So they want more than 3. So that's something you have to discuss. It's a case per case basis. And for more than 6 months, I would say that also like touches upon the realm of like doing a thesis at a company. So it's like you really need more than 6 months to actually, let's say, have some output or patents, papers, etc. So you can start applying anytime, but from my experience, at least in mechanical engineering, in the track that I did, energy, flow, and process technology, all of us started applying after Q2, Q3, after the Christmas vacation. But yeah, this is something your own seniors and your own master tracks can suggest. And JIP, which is offered by the university, is like a very interesting program because there are a lot of these companies that form, let's say, submit their project ideas to TU Delft, to JIP board specifically, and then they offer it to the students, and then they sort of have like a presentation, and then they explain, okay, you'll be working in teams compared to, let's say, internship is very solo work. So this is a very interesting way to do like a group project that has a much larger impact. Again, has 15 ECTS, but again, I remember that civil engineering does not offer 15 and offers 10. So this is again very specific to each department, and you should read more about it once you reach that stage in your master's. So usually lasts from 2 to 3 months, and you can find more in the joint interdisciplinary project.nl website. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I think Sid, it's better if you start with the TA ships part.
Yeah. So there are a lot more like especially when we are internationals, we always try to look for part-time jobs. But I would always suggest that go for part-time jobs. It's fine, but also try to have a healthy balance with your studies, because don't forget, in the end of the day, you'll come here to study and focus most of your time on the studies, and then whatever time is spare possible, you can really go for like teaching assistantship or RA-ship. So teaching assistantship is mainly about like you need a minimum eligibility criteria, and they like depend based on how to say, departments to departments. It's usually 10 to 20 hours a week, and as an international, you are, I think, only allowed to work 16 hours a week. And the application is very department specific and professor specific. So if you have already participated in the course before, then in the second year it's easier to get the TA ship, because the professor already knows you, probably knows your work, and they have a little bit more faith in you. So I would always suggest to like have good contacts with them, and also look out for all these opportunities. Sometimes they're posted on the TUDELF website or something like that. So always be aware of when things are going around, and then try to be play fastest finger first over here. You want to go on the RA ship?
So RA ships, from my experience, again, not a lot of internationals take it up because it's unpaid. It's mostly that you want to get hands-on experience in a specific lab that you're interested in or something where you want to design your portfolio in such a way that you're more inclined towards research. Mostly within universities and sometimes also across universities, but it's paid when there is some industry collaboration. Again, very case specific. Uh, the best time to look for such, let's say, such roles is after Q2, because like I guess I also mentioned in the group that it takes some time to get used to the structure of the quarter system, getting used to the fact that you're going to have exams every 2.5 months and to prepare and to basically juggle around all these different workloads that you have. So I think it's really good if you spend the first 2 quarters, at least let's say it's advice that you spend the first 2 quarters in reaching, understanding that balance. And then Q3, you can start like trying to start a process of like, let's say these RA ships, these TA ships, and also you'd be searching for internships and master thesis. So I think Q3 to Q4 seems to be the best time. And also that's after Christmas break. So you have a lot of these HR from different companies who are back to office. So you have a more chance of getting a response. So you would be closely collaborating with PhDs and postdocs. So again, a very, it's perfect for someone who really wants to go towards research and PhD. The work hours again suggested by TU Delft are 10 to 20 hours, but as you know, the limit for us is 16 for international students. So yeah.
I can actually touch upon this topic. So over here, most of the times, if suppose you're not able to go for these jobs, there are always other jobs either on campus, like either working in X or in working in library, or IP coach is one of them. Is like when you will come here, you'll always have like a induction program by TU Delft, and there are IP coaches, which is basically your second year students who are mentoring you or like taking you around. So IP is one which pays really well. And there are some other jobs, but they're very specific, like if suppose you are being a bartender or something somewhere, then you need a little bit of Dutch proficiency. But also there are other places where you could work at food joints or grocery stores, and just make sure that you are able to commit to a certain amount of hours. And there are also other websites, like if you just search TU Delft student jobs, you'll get like TU Delft websites and everything, where it gives you a little bit of hints of which websites to look for. And as a personal thing, like I didn't do any because my course was so hectic in the first year, and it took me so much time just to get adapted to this whole quarter system and everything, because the moment the quarter is finished, before the quarter is finished, you have to apply for the next ones, and it was so much rush that I couldn't like really focus on part-time jobs, and I mainly started doing a part-time job like in the end of it. So that's like a personal preference. So it's like the key over here is try to find your balance first, try to juggle, see how much time you're able to balance between your job and like anything else, and then go for these jobs where sometimes they can be very like, if suppose you are a waiter somewhere, it is very demanding on your body. So make sure you have enough rest as well so that you can attend college the next day. And then of course there's PostNL or there is Flink. There are so many other ones which you can like really apply for. Yeah. Can you go next?
Yeah, I still have. So I just thought I'll just give my personal story of the side of part-time work, because for me, even I was very nervous and I wanted to do some part-time work for sure. So in my first year, till quarter two, I didn't do anything. Quarter three, I started doing a food delivery job, and I realized that it's very taxing. I was doing just 8 hours a week, which is just 2 4-hour sessions in the evening, let's say from 6 to 10 p.m. And which is again, that was the minimum requirement to be able to do that job. I had to do 8 hours, and then I was getting like basically 400 euros, around 400 euros per month. So does not fulfill your entire living expense, but just a little bit. But in the second year, I found that going for internships as well as going for these paid theses are a way more elegant way of earning that 400 to 500 euros. The 8 hours of really hustling and bustling for like biking, and I did it in Hague. So it was like per day I was biking 70 kilometers. So that's 140 kilometers in a week for 8 hours of shift. That really puts into perspective how physically demanding it can get. So I would say that think about it. It's nice. It's a fun experience, but really think about it. We can move on.
All right, we now move on to the Q&A session. So just give me like a couple of minutes. Stop sharing my screen and open up your questions. Okay, so so we start with the questions. All right, the first question: after submitting the confirmation statement and receiving the financial letter, is it possible to pay housing services fee separately than the whole tuition fees, for which the deadline is still 1st of July? So who wants to take that one? Yeah. So basically, the housing fees are part of, I think it's around 250 euros, if I'm not wrong, and it's part of the total amount that you pay to TU Delft. Okay, so you pay that housing fees to basically get access to the housing portal, room.nl. So you will be so once you have paid your fees and then it has been confirmed by TU Delft, you will be getting a mail. And I think you guys might have already got a mail by now, some of you who have paid the fees, as to when you will approximately get access to the housing portal. So, and that will be done in batches, basically. So, so basically, you get this money refunded if you don't get an opportunity to access the housing portal. But if you do get an opportunity to access the housing portal and you don't end up choosing any rooms from that housing portal, then be aware that you won't get that money refunded. Okay? So, so basically, it's part of the fees that you pay for right now, and yeah, you can't pay for it separately. Yeah. So moving on to the next, what are the other required registrations for a new student, like a local ID card, any local registration number? So, say, do you want to take that up? Yeah.
So what are the other required registrations for a new student like a local ID? So I think there are main few registrations is the RP that you need. That's basically when you come to the Comente, you get a BSN. So you register yourself in the local Comente, and you need your housing proof for it. So if suppose you're going to be staying in Hague, then you're going to be registering yourself at the Hague municipality, and if you're staying in Delft, then you'll be registering there. So that's one of the local ID, and also RP you're getting from the Netherlands. So that's basically your visa to stay here, and that also allows you to travel in and around Netherlands. It has an expiry date, I think 1 month after your course. And if suppose your course is getting extended, then you can extend that again. So that's mainly that. And the local registration is basically the BSN, which you get when you just come here, and then you can use that to uh, like make bank accounts and everything else. That's like your social security number. So yeah, we can go to the next question then.
Yeah, so adding to what Sid said, I would say that the PSN number that you get after registering yourself at a municipality here is super important. And one thing to always keep in mind is to not share that with anyone. Okay, so that's basically your lifeline here in the Netherlands, your BSN number. And only after you get a BSN number can you open a bank account, and a Dutch bank account specifically, and everything becomes very seamless for you once you open a Dutch bank account. Okay, so, and also one more thing to add is Sid also talked about registering in The Hague. For example, people who don't get access to student housing and or any other houses in Delft might go to places in The Hague or in between Delft and The Hague. So then you will have to register yourself in a different municipality for which they have different requirements. For example, you need to get your birth certificates apostilled. So that's something to keep in mind. If people who will be paying their fees late can make a note of this. Okay, it's something you can always go and search up online as to what documents are required. But if you do get a housing from Duo, then the process is very straightforward. But then we'll be covering all of this in the coming webinar, so there's nothing to worry about. All right, so moving on to the next question. What date does the program start? Like including orientation, by when should we reach? Okay, so this time, I believe the introduction program is from 18th to 22nd of August, I think. So basically last time it was 15th August, and I reached on 12th. So basically that depends on a lot of factors. So you'll get access to the housing portal, and then once you sign a contract, you will know when the contract starts. Okay. So basically some of you might have your contract starting before the IP. So then it would make sense for you to come 2 days, 3 days, and then you have a house here, and then you can go to the IP. But some of you might have your contracts starting, maybe 2 days after the IP. So then what some of us did last time was come over here, book an Airbnb, and then stay for 2 days, and then attend the IP, and then move on to the house when the contract starts. So the IP, the introduction program by TU Delft, the general one, is something I would say you can afford to miss. It is important. It helps you bond with international students. It helps you understand the campus. It helps you know more about TU Delft services, all services you get access using a student card and everything. But at the same time, you won't be missing out too much if you happen to miss the IP due to personal circumstances. Okay, but there is one thing that you shouldn't miss for sure, and that is the department-specific introduction program, and that usually happens towards the end of August. So if by any chance you don't get your flight tickets, or if your contract starts very late, or anything else, or maybe you just want to spend more time at home, personal preferences, you can always make sure that you come well in hand before the department specific IP, and the department specific IP will always be at a time when most contracts would start. So then you wouldn't have a problem attending that. Okay. All right. Moving on. Could you explain the timeline of getting the residence permit? Like roughly when would we have to go to the biometrics, when we will get it? Will it be couriered? Will we have to pick it up, etc.? So yeah, so Fatah can do it. Fatah. Yeah.
Uh, so first step after you come here, I feel like once you have your like residence, sorry, once you have your rental contract, the first step to do is like to go to the respective municipalities, mostly going to be Delft in this case, and you register yourself at that address with the rental contract that you have. Once you register, you're given what is called, Siddharth was also touching upon this, what is called a BSN, a burger service number. So that is like your Aadhaar number over here. Once you get that, that's like the first, let's say, the document step that you need to do. After that, you can just move on, create your accounts and everything. The residence permit only comes into the picture after 1 to 2 months. So that's when you get an email from TU Delft from the IND and asking you to book an appointment to pick up the residence permit. It will not be couriered to you. You have to go and pick it up. From my recollection, from in 2021, because we gave the biometrics back in India for doing the MVV visa, we are not asked to give biometrics once again. So it's just about an appointment to pick up the residence permit.
Okay, does the residence permit include travel in the Schengen area? Of course. I mean, like you can travel anywhere in Schengen area. I mean, once you have passed through all the immigration process while coming here, then basically traveling within Europe wouldn't be a hassle. Even if you cross borders, you can definitely, I mean, like there wouldn't be checks specifically, but always make sure that, when you travel to another country, for example, to Germany or to Belgium, you always keep your passport and your residence permit in hand. But it's not something as of a strict immigration check at the borders and stuff. So you are free to travel anywhere, but make sure that you have these documents in hand. So yeah, that's it. And how is the master's course divided into semesters or quarters throughout the 2 years? Yeah, so basically that was answered during the webinar, basically. So um, in India, we are so used to the semester system, and that's something all of us had a bit of adjusting to when we came here, because a semester is kind of divided into 2 quarters. So basically, we have 4 quarters in a year. So after coming here, you'll get used to speaking in quarter lingo, I would say. So you wouldn't speak in terms of semesters. For example, if you have some of your peers studying in Germany, they will be used to the semester-wise system. But here it's a quarter system. So basically, the quarter system is a bit hectic, I would say, in compared to the semester system. And usually, like I'm from aerospace, so basically we usually have around 4 to 5 subjects per quarter, and a quarter is basically, I would say, 1.5 to 2 months long. And then you have to really grind, you have to really, finish all these subjects. Some, not all are exam based, of course, like we have in India, but some are assignment based. So the assignment based courses are no less intensive than the exam based courses. In some cases, I would say that the exam based courses are easier than the assignment based courses. But yeah, so keep that in mind that this is the intensity that you can expect when you come to TU Delft. So it's basically, for example, in aerospace, taking my specific example, all our subjects finish in the first 4 quarters, or in the first 2 semesters, or in the first year. And in the second year, if you have not finished all your courses, you can pursue that. You can give your exams. But basically, the second year is basically reserved for your internship and your thesis. Okay. And but this is the case with most departments. But there are some departments, for example, I would say CM. Some departments in CME have it a different way. Uh, so that's something you need to check, department specific. Okay. All right. So moving on. What are the housing options and what is generally recommended? What are some major aspects to look into while selecting? Does the studio or shared housing have basic equipments like bed sheets, pillows, blankets, utensils, etc.? So, Sid can take it up.
I would say it's more of a preference. I would first say look for a part where, okay, what is available, where sometimes there is very little choice to make. And if suppose you have choices to make between a studio or a shared apartment, then really think about yourself that, okay, can you stay with somebody? Yes or no? because sometimes there could be a lot of these conflicts with your roommates and all. And when it comes to about basic equipments, I think Duo is the one which provides it. I think Zior also provides it. But it's very specific. Like some of over here are also like upholstered apartments, they call it, where you won't have any furniture also. You will just have the flooring and the kitchen and the fridge, maybe sometimes a dishwasher or a not, but that's what you would get. And then I would always suggest there's a big second-hand market over here. Everybody buys things second-hand, or also you can look for other sources. There's also multiple of them where you can just buy things for cheaper. So I would suggest to just go for those and come here and then decide, I would say. So first is to go for your preferences. Whether if you have a preference, then go for a studio, but sometimes studios are a bit expensive, so people then go for shared apartments. So that's a choice.
Yeah. So again, moving ahead. Okay. Is it advisable to look for housing separately since getting accommodation through the university is different? If that's the case, which all housing websites will you recommend? So, Pata, take that.
So I think, yeah, this has been covered in the presentation itself, but I would say, again, there's so many websites. The main things are starting with like Funda, Pararius, and
I can't hear what this
going
guy
through, I feel these housing subreddits. That was somehow, that was my way of like finding all these different places. So in, for example, in r/Netherlands housing, I found that they have like a tool right now, a company selling a tool where you will get an alert the moment a real estate agent posts something, so that you can be the first person to respond to that house. So there are a lot of these things, as I suggested in the presentation. Maybe check the subreddit because I feel it's very informative, and they have a pinned post which has like a general guide. So that would be like a good way to start. But yeah, there are a lot of these websites that you can find through Google. There is no one that can work for everyone.
Okay. So, okay. When to book flight tickets? Much in early or after the visa? Considering the ticket pricing, are there any student discounts or benefits? Okay, so I can take that up. So when to book flight tickets? That's a very tricky question, but I would say a good rule of thumb would be to book it as soon as you get your housing. For example, for the people who get housing through Duo, I would say around 60% of you would. And once you sign your rental contracts, then you would know as to when to come over here, basically. So you would know an approximate set of dates in which you can look into whether you get the cheapest flight tickets or not. Okay. Regarding the visa, yeah, so basically you will get an email from TU Delft as to when the IND the IND has processed your application, because the process is like this. TU Delft gets your funds, and then it files your visa for you, so you don't need to think about that from your side. And then the IND will respond to TU Delft, and TU Delft will let you know. So then you will get a mail from TU Delft saying that the IND has processed your application and it's all good. And all you need from your side is to just book an appointment and go to a consulate in Mumbai or Bangalore, or to the embassy in Delhi, give your biometrics, and then after that in 2 weeks, submit your passport, and then after that in 2 weeks you'll be getting your passport with your visa, and you're ready to come. Okay. So the visa is not a big factor in booking the flight tickets, but booking flight tickets, a major factor behind when to book flight tickets would be the housing contract. Okay, and also you might get the email from TU Delft regarding the IND successfully processing your application quite late, so that might leave you with maybe at max around a month or so before coming here. So that's why in the group yesterday or in the past 2 days there's a discussion about this, that as to the availability of appointments in Bangalore and Delhi and Mumbai. I'd say Delhi and Mumbai has a lot more dates close to 1 month before you come here. I mean, like from the end of June to the starting of August. So, but Bangalore doesn't have that flexibility. So this was the case last year, but you guys can just maybe this time it might be different. So just keep that in mind. All right. So moving on, where to buy used new rental bicycle? Would it be possible to get one before the introductory program? What would you recommend? All right. It is definitely possible to get one before the introductory program. I would say because once you come here, basically you can get in touch with a lot of people who are selling secondhand bikes. Also, the IP has a bike sale, and you can get your bikes there. And yeah, so it depends. If you have a do accommodation very close to campus, maybe you can get through the end of the month or without a bike, and you could take your time to look at different second-hand bikes and then make your choice and stuff. But it depends on a case-to-case basis, you know. And I would say when you buy a bike, there are a lot of things to keep in mind. Basically, regarding the maintenance of the bikes, because second-hand bikes are usually, you know, notorious for having a lot of maintenance. So do make your choice very carefully, especially during the TU Delft IP bike sale too. And look what suits you the most, and then go ahead for it. It's not something to think about much. Okay. All right. Moving on. Are there any external scholarship options? So okay. Yeah, I can take that up. So basically, external scholarship options. So yeah, so there are a couple of scholarships and endowments that are offered by different organizations in India. For example, I had applied to quite a few before coming to TU Delft. One I remember is JN Tata endowment, and then there's also the Narottam Sex Area endowment, which you guys can also look into. And also there's a scholarship offered by Mahindra and the Reliance Foundation. So you guys can look into that. You know, there are lot of opportunities, but I am afraid that, you know, the deadlines might have already passed by now. Maybe it might be too late, but there might be some that are still accepting this year. So you guys can take a look. But as for the scholarships offered from TU Delft, I think the deadlines passed way earlier, and most of you who would have applied should have gotten to know by now. And also those who have applied for scholarships, please don't wait for the results to you know pay a fees to TU Delft, because that will only make everything hard for you. So instead, just move on and pay the fees. And even if you have a scholarship, TU Delft will inform you, and you will get refunded. So don't worry about it. Okay. What is the schedule of the classes going to be like? Do we get time for exercising and stuff in the whole day? Okay. Okay. So yeah. So who wants to take that up? Yeah. So yeah, Papa can take it up because
Uh, yeah, I guess if you're like, let's say, cooking by yourself and then also have a lot of lectures, let's assume that you would be studying, even if you don't have lectures, let's assume that you'll be studying from 8:45 to 5:45. So after that, that is how I try to do. Like I had a subscription to Basic Fit, which is one of the gym chains over here. And I at least try to go 3 days a week. I'll be honest. I feel like I just paid Basic Fit for nothing and I just supported them in the ordeal of going after COVID. But I found that doing sports is much easier than like working out. So I think you will find time. You have to find time. That's the thing. If you feel that that's important, but it is possible. It's not like completely impossible. It's fine.
yeah. So also adding to that, see, I'm from aerospace, but it's notorious for being very hectic. But still, you do find time to work out, and if you are really into fitness, I would say it's not that bad. People over here basically in the Netherlands, they prioritize fitness. I mean, like even if you are working, full time, You'll see people, going on runs in the morning. Marathons are very popular here. People go on bike rides and everything. So you will definitely get an opportunity to stay fit and don't worry about it. Okay. So moving on, do students themselves have to select their classes and courses, and like what's the procedure exactly? So this is something very different to how you would have done your bachelor's in India. So basically, for me, speaking from my perspective, I have a set of mandatory courses that I have to do, and there are also certain mandatory courses based on my profile, which I have to do, and the rest of my academic curriculum is open for electives. So I can choose whatever electives I like, as long as they are approved by my course coordinator. So basically, you tailor your study plan based on what you want. So there's nobody pushing you to go to classes. There's no attendance system over here. You can go to classes, you can skip classes, you can see all recorded lectures online. There's a portal called Brightspace where you get access to all your courses, and basically the procedure for you need to go on. You will have a portal on Brightspace of your own. After coming here, you'll set it up, and then you go you search up the courses. It's like, for example, edX. Okay, you just go to edX, you search up the course you want, you enroll for the course, and all announcements will by the professor and the TAs for that course will be posted there. Everything. So and all the recorded lectures, everything will be on Brightspace. There are, however, other external links like College Rama, for example, that you can use to access recorded lectures of past and stuff. But Brightspace is basically the go-to web portal for everything. And also, and this is one, and you enroll to Brightspace to basically get updated from your side about what is going on in the course. But enrolling or not enrolling to Brightspace doesn't give you eligibility to write the exam. So basically, you have your MyTU Delft portal again, which you will set up after you come here. So it's close to the exam week that you enroll for the exam. At least 2 weeks in advance, you enroll for the subject, you enroll for the exam, and then you can take the exam. Most people make the mistake that they enroll into Brightspace and then think that they can go and take the exam, but that's not the case. So Brightspace is just for you to stay updated, and the exam registering portal is different. So there are people who follow a course and don't take the exam over here. So that's also completely normal. And also, at least in aerospace, maybe it's different for other departments. You have to basically submit your course plan as to what you would do for 2 years, what subjects that you're planning to take for 2 years to your course coordinator, and you need to get it approved. And you can do it anytime in 2 years, basically. Yeah, you can add courses, remove courses any time of the year, and it's completely fine. And the classes might start. You can enroll into Brightspace, follow the course, close to the exams, register for the exams. But after writing an exam, if you need those credits to be registered under your student number, then basically those courses need to be accepted by your student coordinator, your profile coordinator. Okay. So, but then we'll be covering all specifics in the coming videos. Okay. So moving on. Is it possible to apply for a scholarship after the first year? Is there a way to cover our tuition fees for the second year? Is financial aid, scholarships, fee waivers, etc.? Pata, can you take that up?
Yeah. Because this is something I also checked for the Holland scholarship. So if you know that the Holland scholarship gives like, I think around 5,000 to 6,000 euros. But when I approached, I was told that, yeah, there is no way to apply for it in the second year. So the only opportunity that you get is while submitting your application. So unfortunately, I cannot think of any financial, let's say scholarships or fee waivers that you can apply for. Financial aid, there is some funds which are called RPF funds, which are more, let's say something to explore when, for example, if you are extending your studies, or if there is a study delay because of any health issue or any mental health issues, for example. So there are things that you can explore, but I think it's way too early to reach that. In the second year, there are things that you will get to know and you can see that. So, but yeah, no scholarships in the second year, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Again, the laptop advice page suggests that students use a Windows laptop. Is it not possible to use a MacBook? So yeah. So I think that was answered in the Q&A session. Or maybe Ishan can take it up because he's the
Hi,
guy.
can you guys hear me? Not good? Okay. So for the laptop that you should get for computer science, I would say stick with Windows because we have different architecture. And if you work with assembly, you do need like an Intel or AMD architecture rather than M1. I don't think that's supported. And I know that a lot of friends who have M1 computers have problems working with computer science. I'm sure it's the same for electrical as well. So I would say just stick with like a standard laptop rather than an M1 laptop. Yeah.
Okay, so that was it. And what are some recommended Dutch banks? So there are a lot of good Dutch banks, I would say. The main ones are ABN AMRO and ING. And there's also Rabobank and other banks. But ABN AMRO is a bank that is mostly, it's even the app is in English and everything is in English. So we would recommend, starting an account in ABN AMRO. ING is also good. ING is really good. I personally have an account in ING, and I feel the service is really good. But then you can always start Revolut when you come here, and Revolut is also good. Basically, I would recommend Revolut if you travel abroad, if you to different countries in the Schengen area, then Revolut can be used like as you see. So, but the process of starting the Dutch bank account is pretty straightforward. And you can figure all specifics of that after coming here and getting yourself registered and getting a BSN number. Because without a BSN number and your RP, I think you can't get your Dutch bank account active. And that's something you need to take into account because with a BSN number, I believe you can start the account, but to make it active, you need to give a proof of your residence permit card, and that will be maybe towards the end of August that you will receive a mail from TU Delft telling you to go and collect your. Okay. So basically, yeah, but we will be covering the specifics of it in the coming webinars. Basically, when you come over here, you need to bring some amount in cash and also have a Forex card with you. So you need to keep in mind that you need to have that much amount in euros in your Forex card for you to get through the month. Basically, because you can't use your Dutch bank account until the end of August. And by the second week of September, you should be getting your refunds basically, and your refund will come to your Dutch bank account and to nowhere else. So you need to have an active Dutch bank account and then give the details to TU Delft, and then TU Delft reimburse you. So it's a very clear and straightforward process, but it takes a bit of time, I would say. Okay, how many years does it take to get a PR? So that's a question that all of us are also figuring out, but then Sid can answer about it. Yeah.
So
So
So for PR, it's mainly about it takes total 5 years from the start when you have entered the country. So like if suppose now I came back in August 2019, so this August I am eligible for a PR. There is you have to give an exam called as inburking, and inburking you can also give it like a year before of that. It has a validity of 2 years, and after giving inburking has like it's like how you have IELTS. So the same way you have like a test for reading, writing, and listening, and you can just give those exams. Right now, the requirement is A2 level of Dutch, but it's soon gonna become, I think, B1 if I'm not wrong. So it would get a little bit stricter. So I would also suggest like, okay, if you're planning to stay here for longer, try to even start learning Dutch even before coming, because that will help you in a lot more places. So yeah, total 5 years, including 2 years of your uh, education here. So it's total 5 years. Yeah.
okay, I would say the next 2 and 3 questions are relevant to Fatah. Fatah is the best person to answer all of it. So yeah, I'll go through it quickly. All three. What is the extra honors program that can be done with an MSc degree? Okay, and the second one is specifically very relevant because Fatah is pursuing his PhD right now. Let's say a master student wants to do a PhD, considering research experience publications are very crucial. Do you suggest him to start doing your research projects with professors besides the coursework right from the beginning? Okay, what would you recommend? And if one wants to pursue an exchange program in a university like EPFL or ETH, what would be the approach? How likely is it for one to make it through? Okay.
So the first question about like the extra honors program, I think for different master tracks, you get the opportunity of like doing some courses about let's say leadership and some of the soft skills or let's say transferable skills that could get into like could really be a good combination with your engineering master that you're already doing. So I remember there was a previous ISA board member, Devayan, who did the honors program, and he said that that was one of the best experiences. If you can manage your academics, it's like a very good platform to like learn different things about like management and like it can be project management or even a little bit of like the economic side of what engineering looks like. And by the end of all that, for 15 credits, the honors program is for 15 ECTS. So by the end, you get to like present like a project and working with different people in from different backgrounds, different disciplines. I think it's a really good learning experience. And that I think more information can be found if you search for the honors program in TU Delft. But yeah, it is very rewarding if you can manage. So the next question. So yeah, I was a master's student who wanted to do a PhD. So in my case, I was also thinking on the same line. So I can see that the person who asked this question, what they were thinking. But it's very unlikely that you will find the time, to be very honest, at least in mechanical engineering, you'll find the time to do like a research project with the professor apart from coursework. If it's related to coursework, that's actually pretty cool. But during the first year, I feel like even professors, because I remember approaching professors and they said that, okay, maybe just complete your fundamental courses first before you think you want to do research. So they just told me to wait, complete my first year, and then come back to them for a master thesis. I think the master thesis is the best opportunity you're going to get. So if you want to do research, then my suggestion would be to do it within the department, in the university. Already start like networking with those professors that you target where your research field is. Go ideally, make sure you do their electives or let's say courses that they offer, because that will be related to the research and that is like one of the way they're going to select you. But during the 9 month master thesis, if you're doing it in the department, I feel like it is possible to get publications and get journals in the 9 months. Not within the 9 months, but of course you'll produce enough data and output to publish. It is possible. However, the other, let's say, the other opportunity that it's really good of doing a master thesis in the department is that you actually get to like work around these researchers, postdoctoral fellows, and PhD researchers and professors. And you get to know, like internally, you get to know, like, okay, this professor has an opening, you can apply for a PhD. There are different opportunities that are being offered. So you get to be a bit more up to date with what exactly is going on in your department. So I think a master thesis is the best opportunity to do that. That is my recommendation. So I hope I answered the question. Moving on, the last question for me, if one wants to pursue an exchange program, the examples over here, EPFL and ETH, a bit tricky because, again, because you got a Dutch residence permit and a visa for studying in the Netherlands. So it is possible, again, the ECTS system allows you to do exchange programs or at least take some courses. If not a complete program, you are allowed to take one course. It is, of course, particularly easy if you want to do it somewhere within the Netherlands. For example, I had a classmate who really wanted to do a nuclear physics course in TU Eindhoven. So he took, like, he spoke to so the path is like, he spoke to the master track coordinator, explained why this course is important, and then just had to contact the professors. And then because of the ECTS system, that was very easy. So it's more about like, if the professor wants to like host you over there in that university, it is possible. Talk to your track coordinators. I feel they are better equipped to answer this question appropriately. Yeah. We can move on.
Okay. Can you suggest banks for education loans, especially collateral-free loans? Yeah, so I have taken a loan from ICICI. So I think they offer a collateral-free loan for students from TU Delft and at a reasonable interest rate. About the other banks, Pata, do you have any suggestions?
I mostly looked at public banks. So for SBI or Bank of Baroda, and as well as for Union Bank of India, all of them I feel offer a very similar rate. From my recent, if I recall correctly, I saw the Union Bank of India offerings because I took my loan in 2021 from them. They actually, I think, offer an education loan for abroad without collateral at a slightly higher interest rate. So I think with collateral, it's like 9.25%, and then without collateral, it was like 10.2%, which I feel like it's pretty reasonable for a non-collateral loan. So in the public banks, I would say better go to the bank where you have your account already. For example, if you have an account in SBI, and if you know the manager, and if you have some contacts, makes it easy. If not, private banks are always going to be very easy, albeit a little bit higher interest rate.
Yeah. All right. So we are done with the questions of today and the coming. Mhm. Okay. Hold on. Just yeah. Jarvis, do you want to handle it? No. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Fine. Let me go through it. So as of now, we are done with the questions from the Google Doc, and we do have around 15 to 20 minutes left, I would say. So we can definitely take up some questions from the Q&A. So hold on, just going through it.
Okay, so the first question is it possible to work abroad, USA, Germany, or UK for thesis project in the last 3 quarters?
Okay.
So yeah, I was actually typing an answer for this, but I realized that it's a very long answer. It's easier to say it out loud. It is possible. Of course, in reality, anything is possible. But how much trouble will you take is the question. How much appetite for going through paperwork, doing all the logistics, getting all the visas set. If you ask the question, I'm assuming you do have the appetite. Then I think it's good to be aware that it's possible. All of these options of like doing your thesis anywhere outside the university has a risk of having study delays and things like that. So if financially it's not a problem for you specifically, then I think it is possible. I also know one of my friends who he was doing his master's in aerospace, and he did do like his thesis in a university in the US. I don't remember details, but if the person who asked this question is very, very motivated, you can maybe text me later. I think in the WhatsApp group I am active, so you can put this up again. I can connect you to that person.
So the next question is, if we withdraw our application after paying the fee to TUD, how much fee will be refunded?
Yeah, so I can take that up. Yeah, so basically, although you're paying a lot of fees to TU Delft, TU Delft is bloody damn clear about the breakdown of whatever you're paying to Delft. Okay, they're really transparent. So basically, if you want to cancel your admit after you have paid your fees, you just need to contact the education and student affairs as soon as possible, and they'll start the process of the refund, and you'll get everything, literally everything, refunded back to you, as far as I know. And there are, however, complications if you do cancel it after the start of the academic year, because you'd have to do it before the end of each month at least, and then there's a separate process for it. But as of now, I would say if you do change your mind after paying a fees, the last day for withdrawing your application to TU Delft would be the 31st of August, and that's before the start of the semester. So do keep that. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is, how is the workload during studies and JAP options for CME? So probably Arya or Ashita can answer this. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. How is the education loan given to the person? Is the money given to the university directly or to the person?
It is usually, I mean, you do the bank transfer from your own account, if that's what you're asking. So there is a loan account that gets created separately from your savings account. Let's say you already have a account in the bank. So in the loan account, it is like transferred, and then you do all the international, the forex transfer to the university. But in most cases, at least the popular way of doing it is like you do the forex transfer, at least the first one, with the same bank. So it's just a little bit easier. So a bit higher on the rate, but yeah, usually you just do with the same bank that you took the loan. So it makes it easy.
How is the job market and energy sector, especially power engineering track? What's the pay like? A ballpark figure, maybe.
I'm not from the power engineering track, unfortunately. So I think this is more electrical engineering. But at least in the energy sector, because I also graduated with a master's related to energy sector, the opportunities are there, but I feel like last year it was a bit less because I don't know how many of you saw the news. Netherlands officially declared that there was a like a recession. So that sort of changed the decisions of many companies to hire people. So it was a bit more tougher last year. But since then, I think since January, February, we have official news again that we are out of the recession. So by the time you're graduating, it's again 2 more years. I don't know how exactly the job market is going to look like. That was my point. But ballpark figure, I guess it's on the upper side. Let's say the top companies like Shell, BP, ExxonMobil. Again, I only know about these companies. ASML also, I guess.
Don't have to show.
All of them, the gross salary is around 60,000 a year
We
per annum.
mentioned it
At
already.
least that's what I heard. But post-tax, that's something you can look around.
Yeah, I'll ask.
But see, that is on the higher side. But usually it's somewhere between like 45 to 60,000. That is what I have heard from my peers.
Okay. So the next question is, do we need to show financial solvency for second year? Joseph can answer it.
Yeah. So basically, financial solvency needs to be shown only for the first year, and the second year is basically on your own. So you'll basically be doing internship, part-time jobs, and there's also the opportunity of doing your thesis with a company, so you can earn while you complete your studies. But you don't need to show any financial solvency in your second year. It's basically for the first year of your study.
Okay, so the next one is, can anyone from ID faculty shed some light on the exchange program available for DFI student? If there are any, thanks. So
Uh, Yeah, so there are quite a few exchange program opportunities available, not just for DFI, but everyone from the IDE faculty. So they will inform you about these opportunities in form of a fair where all the schools and universities are highlighted and their courses, structures, what kind of opportunities you'll get will all be given, and there'll also be a talk. But I think the application deadline for the exchange program is around the first or second week of December. But it's all sorts of design courses that are available for exchange programs, right from architecture, and it's not only in Europe, but also in the States, Singapore, everywhere. So it's a good opportunity if you want to pursue an exchange program from IDE.
Oh, fantastic.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think Fatah is answering.
I was typing, but yes. I'm thinking about a situation. I'm really sorry. I'm thinking about a situation where, yeah, you would want to switch to a PhD in the US. So then I think this person is a bit unsure about the masters. So then I have not heard of any instances to answer the question. But then from an advisory point of view, I think the question to ask is like, if you're not sure about the master's program, then do you really want to spend the money? Because you will lose out on the tuition that you're already spent here for being in the course. So do you really want to do that, or do you want to wait out and see your prospects of getting a PhD directly in the US? I think it's a very tricky question, and I don't have the best answer for this.
Yeah.
Or do you want to take that? Where is the question though?
So one of the questions was the job market for architecture graduates, considering someone like me who has done quite a bit of experience work. So I had also worked in India for 2 to 3 years, and after that I did my master's. I was lucky enough to find a job directly after my job. But if you want to work in like core architecture, I would really suggest you to learn Dutch, because yeah, most of the clients are always going to be mostly Dutch. And even in like big firms like MVRDV and all, you really require, if you know the language, then it's better. So the market is there, and it all depends on what's your experience and how you negotiate your salary. So starter salary, I also asked what's the starting salary. It was near like 2,600 to 2,800 euros per month, and this is before taxes. And yeah, that's like mainly about it. So it mainly depends on how you approach. How I actually approached it, and this is actually genuine for all the courses, that from first day itself I used to hunt, like go for these a lot of lunch lectures, and whenever I used to see a professor, just talk like, or the speaker, I just go talk with them for shortly, tell my name, so that the moment it's done, I would send them a LinkedIn request, and then they will remember my name and then at least accept. And I would just drop them a message that, hey, I'm this guy, and this is my background, and if you have any internships or jobs, please let me know. For a year and a half, nobody responded. But when I was graduating, the company where I'm working now, the person saw that message when I applied for that main job position, and that really helped in order to get my job where I had, because I literally got accepted like in a week. So I would say I was very fortunate about it. But keep hunting, like send LinkedIn messages. That's like one of the best ways to make connections. So yeah, that's mainly it.
Okay, so I think we're running out of time, so we'll ask one last question. And is it easier to get a PhD position in TU Delft after masters there?
It is a bit easy, but at the same time, I feel like as a master student over here, you would be asked a very different, the interview will look very different. It would sort of be like, okay, now I do know, let's say, for example, it's within the department, and the professor knows you, at least you've been to some courses. So then the question would be like, okay, how exactly was your previous research output? For example, once you complete your master thesis, they will actually talk to the professor of how your performance was and how you were as a person while doing that master thesis. So I feel like if you're so it's very, if you think about it, it's very linked to how your master thesis goes. For me, it was in the same department, and I had a very good rapport with the professors I did my master thesis with. So it felt like, and again, it was in the same field. So somehow that gave a positive bump for me, and it did make it easy for me to get. And PhD positions vary widely. If your master's thesis was more experimental and less computation, and the PhD requires more computation, you might be like, okay, no, not the most attractive candidate. So just because you're coming from TU Delft, it's not very easy to get a PhD, but it does make your life easy, like because you'll make contacts and at least you'll have the opportunity of giving the interview. Then it's up to the professor.
Okay, so there's a question about aerospace. For aerospace domain, I have heard that Delft is mostly for research. What I believe and what I really want to do is to get experience first so I can pay off the loan and of course increasing my skills side by side. I can opt for PhD later, but maybe when I'm in more stable financial condition. What is your opinion on it?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm figuring it out. So, you know, kind of, yeah, but I can try my best. So, yeah, congrats for making it to aerospace, man. You're in for a ride. So, aerospace is one of the most esteemed faculties here in TU Delft, and it's very highly ranked. The professors also expect a lot of quality from you, and you're right in saying that it's mostly for research. The research is amazing in our faculty, and so basically, whether or not you are fit for a PhD, you will get to know that at least by the end of your third quarter. Depending on how you're handling different subjects and how you're handling the professor's requirements of you, and you'll get to know, you'll get a hang of it as to whether you're good for further research, or whether you would really like to maybe pursue your career in the industry. But I would say, keeping that aside, PhD is actually considered a full-time job in the Netherlands. Elsewhere in Europe, you will be paid on par with a full-time job. But of course, in the industry, the pay scales are a bit higher, especially in the Netherlands. But yeah, so this is a choice that you can make during your masters. And also, you can definitely pay back your loan even if you're on a PhD or if you're on a job. So it depends. It depends on a case-to-case basis. You'll really, it'll help for you to make that decision once you start your masters here. So I don't think it's something you can decide while in India right now, because aerospace engineering in TU Delft is a completely different ball game. You'll get exposed to a lot of stuff after coming here. So yeah, so that's about it.
Can you also add what is the pay scale range for aerospace?
Pay scale range for aerospace. Okay. Well, aerospace engineers go to a wide range of careers because not also specifically into aerospace. There are a lot of graduates that go into consultancy, that even go into banking, that even go into the gaming sector, for example. So the pay scales vary, but and also it depends on different countries where you go to. But I would say an average pay scale for an aerospace engineer, starting salary for an aerospace engineer who's completed his masters would be around 4,500 and above. So that is as of now. So it's a pretty good pay scale. If you get a job, for example, in Switzerland or in Germany, then it will be up and above from that. There are positions for aerospace engineers that pay up to 7,000, 8,000 euros per month. So yeah, good luck. And yeah.
Okay. So what is an average salary for someone graduating from an MSc in MOT for someone 2 to 3 years of previous experience? What kind of job profiles are people graduating from this course go into? So I'm doing my master's in MOT. So we have this specialization in a second year where you can specialize in one of the like 8 tracks. So there are multiple tracks like ICT, supply chain, gaming, finance, economics, and then strategy, technology management, and such. So as far as I know, people mostly get into business consulting. They either go for the big four companies, let's say EY, Deloitte, or people who have an inclination towards supply chain. They get into supply chain companies like DHL, Amazon. So I mean, like, there's a plethora of opportunities there. So, and the pay scale, I'm sorry, like we're not handsomely paid as aerospace, as Joseph mentioned, 7,000, 8,000. Like we're not around that range. Sadly, we have to settle for 2,900. As far as I know, people have told me they're in a pay scale around 2,900 to 3,300. So
Also, higher salary doesn't means a lot of money in your pocket. There's a lot of
Yeah.
taxes also.
I mean, like, yeah, so definitely, I mean, like, if you in Europe, it's mostly if you earn more, you're paying more as taxes. So keep that in mind. But of course, the quality of life is really good here, and you wouldn't mind paying your taxes at the end of the day, even if you're on a high-paying job. So yeah, so I think that's the end of the Q&A session. We've got a lot of questions coming in, but unfortunately, we're running short on time. And we will take up all of your specific and detailed questions in the upcoming webinars. Don't worry about it. So all of those who didn't get their questions answered today will definitely have their questions answered in the coming webinars. At least we have the WhatsApp group that's getting really active nowadays. Also, one thing that I would like to remind you guys is that we are having our exam week this coming month. So a lot of us will be caught in our exams and submission deadlines and a lot of stuff. So expect that we won't be really active on the WhatsApp group from today at least. We will definitely, some of us will definitely take the time to answer some of the texts on the group. But for like general questions and stuff, you can also reach out to personal contacts or do a bit of research by yourself and figure something out. And we will be having our next webinar maybe sometime around next month or so, and we will be going into much more detail. And by the time, I think most of you will at least some of you will at least have access to your housing portal. So then there'll be specifics related to that. And yeah, we'll also take up in the third webinar, we'll also take up you know uh, topics such as student discounts and also local food options and how to pack your bags when you come here, what all to keep in mind and stuff. So yeah, so don't worry, we'll be covering you guys. All right. So that being it, we are ending today's webinar, and I hope you guys had, um, it was useful information for all of you. And we will see you in the next webinar. All right. Bye-bye. Ciao.